Hello, everybody. Hope you all are having a wonderful weekend. Now, I am here today to talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame. Well, earlier or late last week, the Baseball Hall of Fame announced their finalists for the 2022 Ford C. Frick Award. That award is presented annually for excellence in baseball broadcasting by the Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Now, before I get to the 8 finalists, I should mention that this year's category and this year's nominees are from the Broadcasting Beginnings category. And this is every 3 years they go through 3 different categories. This year, it is Broadcasting Beginnings. So what I will do is I will read off the nominees and where they commentated during their career and how long they commentated. So, and this is in ABC order, by the way. The first nominee is Pat Flanagan, who broadcasted for 15 years, was primarily a Cubs voice, but did commentate for both Chicago squads on WBBM. He covered the first All-Star game from Comiskey Park in 1993, also broadcast the 1932, 34, and 38 World Series for CBS. The next nominee is Jack Graney, who spent 21 seasons in a broadcast booth and was the first successful person to transition from the field to the broadcast booth. He was chosen to do the 1935 All-Star Game and World Series, and Bob Dolgan of the Cleveland Plain Dealer wrote of Graney, "You could smell the resin in the dugouts, feel the clean smack of ball against bat, and see the hawkers in the stands." The next candidate is Waite Hoyt, who spent 25 seasons commentating. He broadcast 1 World Series when the Reds went in 1961 and made a successful transfer to the Cincinnati broadcast booth after 20 years as a Hall of Fame pitcher. He was the last of the major league announcers to abandon telegraphic recreations of away games. He was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1969 after pitching for 6 pennant winners in New York in the 1920 and 21 seasons overall. Next is France Lowe. 18 years, was the voice of St. Louis baseball, where he commentated for the St. Louis Browns from 1929 to 1943 and then again in 48, and the Cardinals from 1929 to 1943 and then again in 45. He also called network games for CBS from 1933 to 1938, and the Mutual Game of the Day from 1939 to 1941, and then again in 1944. Was CBS Radio's announcer for the World Series from 1933 to 1938, and broadcast the All-Star Game from 1934 to 1941. Other highlights include broadcasting the first night game from Sportsman Park, Pete Gray's debut, Carl Hubbell's 5 strikeout performance in the 1934 All-Star Game, and Ted Williams' game-ending 3-run home run in the 1941 All-Star Game. Next is Rosie Rosewell. He was given a chance in 1925 by the Pittsburgh Pirates, or he was given a watch, by the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1925 that read, "Most Faithful Fan." When the Pirates decided to broadcast all of their home games over KDKA radio, they decided to go with their number 1 fan on the air. The decision turned to gold, where Rosie turned out to be turned out to be more popular than most of the Pirates players over the next 19 seasons. He invented his own language behind the microphone. A dipsy doodle was a strikeout pitch, and his signature home run call was "Raise the window, Aunt Minnie, here she comes." Hal Totten is our next candidate. Spent 21 years as the voice of baseball in Chicago with the Cubs from 1924 to 1944 and the Chicago White Sox from 1926 to 1944. He helped solidify baseball on radio. Became the first regular season radio announcer on April 23, 1924, calling the play-by-play of the Chicago Cubs' 12-1 victory over the Cardinals on WMAQ Chicago. He called the World Series twice for CBS Radio and 3 times for NBC, and also broadcasting the Mutual Game of the Week from 1945 to 1950. Next is Tyson, who spent 22 years behind the mic, was a former collegiate player for Penn State. His radio career began in 1922 and broadcast the first play-by-play account of a Tigers game from Detroit in 1927. With no broadcasting booth for this new media, he had to set up in the stands. Spent the first 16 years doing radio broadcasts for WWJAM, but was then replaced by former hitting star Harry Heilman. Came back to the Tigers in 1947, where he did over-the-air broadcasts for the next 6 years with WWDT-TV. And finally, Bert Wilson spent 12 years, invented the short-lived catchphrase, "Bingo to Bango to Bilko," to describe double plays turned among Ernie Banks, Gene Baker, and Steve Bilko. Renowned for phrase, "I don't care who wins, as long as it is the Cubs." Began his broadcasting career with WMT in Chicago, calling Cubs games from a rooftop behind the center field bleachers. Hired in 1943 as Pat Flanagan's assistant for WIND and took his spot in 1944 when Flanagan retired. And those are the 8 nominees for the Ford C. Frick Award. Now, the winner of the award will be announced on December the 8th at baseball's winter meetings in Orlando, Florida, and will be honored during the July 23rd award presentation as part of Hall of Fame Weekend 2022 in Cooperstown. So, we will have to wait to find out who does win the Ford C. Frick Award. Hopefully, have another video within the next few weeks of more Baseball Hall of Fame news. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll talk to you all next time.